Update. Found out the family secrets and went low contact. Mother, 65 female, is breaking low contact. Original post. Buckle up. This is long. Too long, did not read. At the bottom. Wow. My original post blew up overnight, when I least expected it. I made the post, answered about 5 replies. Figured that was the end of it, then cried myself to sleep. I was not expecting to wake up to so many replies and awards, and a locked post I could no longer reply to. I don't even know what to do with awards. I'm new to Reddit, by the way. All of the replies, and I do mean all of them, were supportive and incredibly validating, in ways I cannot even explain. Even the ones that wanted jail or worse for the child rapists in the family validated my own anger and the worst parts of my emotional psyche in the face of those atrocities. Thank you all. Many posts asked for some of the same clarifying info, and yes, I left out those things so as to remain as anonymous as possible. Let me answer some of them. I don't know if it would change smithing at this point, but here are the answers to those questions. 1. No, my mother did not know her husband raped me. I have refused to call or recognize him as a stepdad even though she has repeatedly tried to force me to say so and recognize him as such. She has noticed the resistance, but instead of questioning why, she has cried and stated I am hurting her. 2. I don't know what my sister knows. My mother played us against each other our whole lives, so we've never been close. My sister was the favorite who could do no wrong, and I was the scapegoat and black sheep, as she even called me. 3. My sister is also an alcoholic. My mother and sister enable each other, even financially supporting each other's alcohol habits. Her children are grown already, and though I don't know why, her children rarely speak to or visit my mother, although I'm sure y'all are all nodding and pointing at the toxicity and saying it's obvious why. I don't know what they know or don't, or their motivations. 4. I told my dad, mother's ex, what happened, everything, about 5 months ago. We've been closer since then, but he's never said anything to my mother, yet understands why I'd cut contact. However, my sister is still very close to dad too. 5. My mother's younger brother went no contact with the whole family 9 years ago. I never knew why. My mother claims it's a mystery, but also claims it could be all sorts of minor things. But I now believe he knew, he saw it happen, and he was done with this shit, too. His name has become a verb in the family for being selfish, immature, and self-centered. I think I've put this off for so long because I was afraid that's what I'm being, too, by doing this. 6. When I went LC with Mom a year ago, I did tell her there were things she didn't know that I wouldn't say until she had access to a therapist. She refused, stating, husband would never allow that. He doesn't even let me leave the house without him. And if he knew what uncle did, he'd kill him. When I pushed about what uncle did to her, she said, he probably doesn't even remember anymore. He probably also thinks I don't remember it. Her saying all that and refusing to understand I was saying, husband did something too, or to confront who and what uncle is was why I went LC. So, I have asked her straight up to get therapy, and she has flat out refused. She has refused to acknowledge the issues for what they are. 7. Many asked what my motivations are, which is a good question. Contact ramped up the week before I posted. Mom begged me via text twice that week to send my kids to her because her sister is visiting her city. Mom called my STB ex-husband the Friday before also saying she was concerned about the kids' safety and well-being with me, and begging him to bring them to see her. One message came the day before I posted, causing me to feel distressed. Then that night right before I created my post, my sister texted also saying, "You're killing ya mama. She's beside herself," etc. It really sent me over the edge. I was afraid they would only get more amped up if I didn't put on the permanent brakes, and boy was I right, more coming. Some replies said I was saying too much, some said I was not saying enough. The truth is that was the short version meant to be a text message. I actually did write a full letter, spelled it all out, and it was 8 pages long, typed. Mom would never read it all. Much less would she abide by it. I know that. Those of you who said she'd be unable to comply and would use it to manipulate me are most likely right on the money. I know I owe her nothing, have already sacrificed too much, and my sister is, knowingly or not, a flying monkey. I needed to cut off all contact in no uncertain terms, and have, as some suggested I needed, proof that I have. I am still scared she'll show up at the kids' schools and such. I need a reason to put her in the school's no-contact list, also. So here is the update. I revised the message and sent it via text. My therapist wanted me to wait and do it on my own terms, but I became bombarded again with texts, got extremely emotional, and so I responded. Sunday, 1 week after Father's Day, my mother sent me this message. Op. I'm very disappointed in you. You snubbed, husband, last weekend. You were here and didn't take 5 minutes to come by to say hi. No call, no text, nothing. He asks for nothing from you. He's done nothing but be good to you, my soon-to-be ex-husband, and the kids. He's helped you in any way he could, and this is how you treated him. It hurt him deeply. He doesn't want presents. He wants to see you and the kids. You can hate me and blame me for your childhood all you want. But that wasn't fair to him. You've disappointed me deeply. You really need to take accountability for your actions. I've begged you to let us see the kids and have gotten zero response. That's just rude. You were raised better than that. I'm sorry I was such a bad mother. I'm sorry you felt like you were treated unfairly. That's on me. I'm sorry. I don't know what I can do to make you feel better about anything. Silence is not the answer. Even your therapist will say that. The message had exactly the effect in the immediate that she wanted it to have on me. Shaking, crying, guilt, questioning myself, etc. But then the rage set in. One thing I never mentioned before is that all of her family and friends told her not to marry her husband, that he was a loser and bad news, but she just said no one knew him or understood him, she wouldn't listen to anyone. But I always thought she'd eventually see the light? In that message she sent, I began to see the guilt-tripping, the manipulation, and the straight-up denial, and it enraged me. Also, I doubted the truth of her husband's feelings. He knows exactly what he is, and I seriously doubt he was lambasting my not calling or visiting. I believe it was just her feelings, her victimizing herself to manipulate me. So with the advice from you all, I revised SND sent her this text message. Read it all. I need you to know first of all that what I am doing is absolutely in the best interest for mine and my kids' lives, for all of our well-being. I will not be coming there, and I will never be sending the kids, to you or, my sister. I recognize the pain this causes you, and I empathize with that, but this has been a long time coming. For too many years I put your feelings above my own and never told you the harsh truths I knew would hurt you, and that you don't want to hear. Our only real family tradition is silence that harms victims and protects horrible people, such as child predators and rapists. I won't participate in it anymore. I've tried to tell you things and so has everyone else, but you just refuse to understand. The only way my position will change is when you've sincerely done the following. 1. Go to rehab and stop drinking. Completely. And forever. You're the type of alcoholic that can't have it ever. Your alcoholism harms people and has endangered my kids. 2. Seek intensive therapy for your traumas and abuse. 3. Divorce, husband. And cut him out of your life because he is a child predator and a rapist too. I'm sorry I never told you before, but he knows exactly what he is. I discussed it with him before I even moved to the city where I've lived for over 20 years. A father figure does not insert any sexual overtones into relationships with children, or intoxicate them and force them into sexual acts, which, by the way, is rape. That's what child predators do. That's what husband is. I will never accept him. I never wanted to, but you've guilt-tripped me into it. I'm done. And he will never ever be around my children again. I have always been so sick around him and I won't do it anymore. 4. Cut your brother out of your life completely. He is a horrible person and a child rapist. I'm done ever being around people like this, but you act like it's nothing? Absolutely hell no. This decision is my accountability. It's past time you accept that you have made poor choices that hurt yourself and others, and that you did so because of your own trauma. I do not hate you and never will, but I will not keep these toxic situations in my life any longer and never should have. I will be blocking you now. No replies will be delivered, so I won't be seeing them. And I know you won't ever do those things. If you were ever going to, you would have already. There is nothing else to talk about. My therapist completely supports this course of action, especially since you do not respect me being low contact with you and refused a year ago to seek help when I asked you to. Well, here is the truth and the result. Do not contact me anymore. I immediately blocked her, her husband, everyone in the family except my sister. I changed my kids' phone numbers, blocked them everyone on my kids' phones and social media, and spent 2 days crying it out, and wondering what was happening with them, but also, knowing nothing was happening. The next day my sister texted me saying she was sorry she couldn't be in my life and telling me bye. I responded to her that she could make the right choices and still be a part of my life. I did not ask her what was happening, told her I was not putting her in the middle of things, and she once again did the "poor me, I'll just go away" thing. Very clearly learned helplessness passed on by Mom. I mentioned I knew she has trauma, which she confirmed but would not discuss. She never said a word about Mom's husband, so I'm sure Mom is saying nothing about the real issues to anyone. I worry she's claiming I'm being a horrible daughter, cutting her out of our lives for no reason. If she'd told my sister anything, you'd think my sister would ask, or mention it. But she didn't. I did tell my sister to not be Mom's flying monkey, and we'd be in contact. So after that, nothing else happened. After the emotional turmoil subsided, a strange peace set in that I had not expected or anticipated. I thought I'd doubt myself and feel guilty, etc., but I don't. I finally spoke the truth, and I finally moved on to a place where I'm not constantly worrying about that whole situation. I've slept better. I've been running and exercising. I've done yoga. I've hugged my kids tighter, and I don't regret what I said or did. If I'd known this was what was on the other side, I'd have done this years ago. Thanks for reading all of this if you did. And if anyone out there is on the fence or scared to speak the truth and cut out toxic family, let me tell you, do it. It's more peaceful on the other side. At least so far. Too long did not read. Mother amped up contact. I revised and sent the message with what her husband did to me included. I cut all contact, and I feel like I made the right decision. I'm at peace with it. Sister is still an alcoholic and at issue, but baby steps. That's a huge relief. Good job on standing up for your own good. Cutting off toxic people in your life is necessary if they keep on enabling the predators and blaming the victims. All the best. It's a huge relief to let family go and realize that they weren't all that important to begin with. Opens up your life to so many possibilities. Good luck. I am so proud of you. This gives me hope for myself and my loved ones who have been abused in the past by family. I truly hope you have an amazing rest of your life. Again, it doesn't matter if your mother thinks you're the worst person on the planet. If being good in your mother's eyes is associating with your rapist, I would rather be the devil. I'm proud of you, Op. Do not waver. Congratulations on taking this big step. You deserve peace and happiness. As someone else said, do not waver. You have so many bright days ahead of you. Hey, I have nothing useful to add or anything. I just wanted to say I'm so proud of you. What you did took such bravery and strength, and your kids have a wonderful, powerful mother. Well done. Great job on doing what's best for you and your family. That takes courage and self-love. I know you say your sister is the golden child, and I believe you. However, I don't think she should escape. No one escapes. Tell her, and everyone else who asks why you cut your mom off, that your stepdad molested you. Maybe I'm misreading your post and you did. If not, I'd recommend that you work with your therapist to be able to share the truth about what he and your mom did to you plainly, with confidence, and without shame. As they say in AA, nah, our secrets keep us sick. If you're not there already, I hope that you can get to a place where you can give the shame of what happened to you back to the people who deserve it. Sending you hugs and well wishes. So first of all, good job. You're standing up for yourself. The only thing I want to say is that unless I missed some key information here, you should consider that your sister may not know the truth. She may well know your mother's version of the truth, which denies all sorts of things. So it might be worth a message to your sister where you lay out why you're doing what you're doing. I think you're doing the right thing. My husband gets angry and throws things. What can I do? My husband, 34 male, is mostly a great guy and dad. He works hard for his family and often cooks for us. But he has anger issues and I, 27 female, don't know what to do about it. He travels for work, so is gone for a few months at a time and then is home for about 3 weeks at a time. He's home ATM. An example from yesterday. It's Saturday morning, we had planned a trip out to a farm with the kids. We are all getting ready. Suddenly he screams, gets the vacuum out, starts cleaning. Then he throws the vacuum across the room, punches the wall, throws some of the kids' toys and storms off. He is frustrated because the place is messy with toys. This causes me to feel anxious. I stop getting ready and start to clean up. My 5-yo also helps me. He continues bashing things and yelling. After we finish cleaning, I start to cry. It's hard not to cry when I hear yelling. I'm working on it. My daughter asks me if you and Papa are fighting. I tell her no, I'm just upset about something else. He overhears us and gets angry again. He says to me, "Great, I always look like the bad guy." I reply, "I never said anything bad about you." He says, "Because you're crying the kids think I'm bad." I know my emotional response isn't healthy. I grew up with an abusive stepfather. He would yell and throw things and then he would beat our mother in front of us. So whenever my husband yells, these past emotions get brought up and I start to cry. It's something I'm working on. I've explained this to him but he thinks using trauma as an excuse is dramatic. A week ago, he got angry again because the table was messy. He yelled and threw things. This time I wasn't as kind and said, "Why bother coming home if you are just annoyed at the kids being kids?" This really upset him. He yelled at me, I didn't respond after that. I tend to cry and shut down. After a while he cried too, told me it's not easy to come home and please respect him and how hard it was for him. I told him I'm sorry. I do respect him. But I want him to respect us too. After each anger outburst he does eventually apologize. So I try and not hold it against him but it's hard. I tell myself he's entitled to his own emotions. He's allowed to feel anger. But again it's hard as I get upset. There are smaller incidents too which I don't know if I should really take to heart but the truth is they bother me. One from this morning. He said to the 4-yo, "Do you want to go to IKEA today?" I then said, "Well, what about the farm? We haven't been outside for 4 days and I think it will do us good." The farm was also yesterday's plan but was cancelled as he got angry about the mess so we stayed home and cleaned for the day. He then got physically upset and said in a stern voice to me, "Why are you always undermining me and making me bad?" I understand how my suggestion can seem like undermining so I apologized and said that wasn't my intention. He then said very loudly and annoyed, "Okay, let's go to the farm." IKEA was a stupid idea. I'm so stupid. These situations are small but leave me feeling awkward and bad. They also have an effect on my 5-yo straight after she started to cry about a stomachache. For her this is a sign of stress. Her crying also triggers my husband more and well. You can imagine the rest. He's left the house now to go on a bike ride. Hopefully he comes back calmer and we can just enjoy a day at the farm with the kids. I find myself thinking how my days are so much more peaceful when I'm parenting alone. Then I think, should I leave? But I don't think I can take the kids from him. I live in his country so if we separated, I'd lose my visa and have to leave. I don't know what to do. I want the situation to improve. I want him to treat me more kindly. But how? P.S. The kids are 2, 4 and 5-yo. Thank you all so much for taking the time to read my thoughts. Also my post is totally biased and all from my view. I understand he will have a different story and I don't think in any way I'm innocent. I know I need to work on myself too. He says, because you're crying the kids think I'm bad. No. The kids think he's bad because he's reacting violently when he's stressed out. Your emotional response is not the unhealthy part. He needs to get anger management therapy. Because right now, maybe neither of you even see it, but he's scaring your kids whether they make it clear or not. After each anger outburst he does eventually apologize. So I try and not hold it against him but it's hard. Why? Would you not hold it against him? He apologizes but nothing changes so effectively the apology has very little value. Practically none. Most abusers do apologize. Otherwise far fewer people would stay. You're holding on hope that he'll change, but he's given you zero indication that he'll do that. Your husband is abusive. Your children are already showing clear indications of suffering due to it. I think it's past time to start changing the situation. Talk to a lawyer about the visa issue. How do you not have citizenship if you're married with children? How long before he stops throwing vacuums and starts throwing punches? Anger management should be a condition of staying in this marriage. This is not the example you want to model for your kids. He's abusive, to you and your children. Working hard and often cooking doesn't make up for that. At most, you could offer him an ultimatum that he needs to seek help with his anger issues immediately. But if he won't, you need to get out before your kids are further traumatized. This is complicated. I think he should see a psychiatrist. Or maybe couples, family counseling. He is definitely gaslighting you though, and the parenting responsibilities are falling on you. It sounds like his job is causing him a lot of stress and he's taking it out on you. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, especially in front of your kids who will learn by example. I wouldn't say flat out leave, because he clearly loves you and his kids, and regrets his anger actions, but do be aware that if he ever becomes violent to you or your kids, you have to do what's best for you and them. This is abuse. Your kids are watching you be abused. Please, for not only your sake but your children, run. If you don't get out, this will escalate. It isn't a question of if, but when. And the longer you stay, the more you will cement in the eyes of your kids that this is acceptable behavior to live with in a relationship. Something that will prime them to be abused as they grow into adults. Please run. I am sorry to hear that. As a guy with anger issues but never throwing anything, I could only imagine what my wife and kids might be going through. I do not have any solution to your problem but hopefully have found a way to keep my temper in check. Sorry you are going through this. I grew up in a home where my father would have loud outbursts. He was always angry at himself, not any of us, but it was extremely stressful all the same. Growing up like that left me with extreme anxiety issues that at 31 I'm still trying to deal with. You should leave for yourself and your kids. That kind of behavior affects everyone in the house and the effects can be lifelong. Will a divorce be hard in the kids? Probably, but having a safe home where there isn't this kind of extreme behavior is going to do them so much good in the long run. How do I, 21 female, tell my boyfriend, 21 male, that I cheated on him? I cheated on my boyfriend about a year into our relationship. We have been together for 2 years and the guilt is eating me alive. I was perfectly happy with my boyfriend before this and I regretted this immediately after because I ruined the trust that we had. For reference, Q is literally just someone I would hang out and drink with after work. He didn't seem like he was interested in me sexually or romantically, but his platonic nature was just a ploy to get my guard down, he told me. When I cheated with, call him Q, it was mainly due us using ecstasy alone together. Worst decision I've ever made. Q was upset that I was not interested in a sexual relationship, so he became violent. Hitting me hard, choking me, and punching me sometimes. He eventually began to blackmail me, stalk and harass me for 6 weeks. This scared me shitless as I knew he owned a gun and knew where I lived, worked, as well as where my boyfriend lived, general area. I would not be able to live with myself if the love of my life got hurt due to my own infidelity and lies. So I continued to hang out with Q after work even though it made me miserable. Every day he would hurt me, steal from me, threaten me, and mentally fuck me with outlandish accusations. At the end of the 6 weeks, Q could tell I hated him and only dealt with him to protect my relationship. I don't think Q knew I was worried he would hurt him and I didn't want to give him any ideas. So, he randomly stopped calling and texting 50 times a day and stopped stalking me. I'm more than grateful. I think he couldn't handle the rejection but I honestly don't care what the reason was. He doesn't contact me or my boyfriend anymore, he took his number from my phone months ago. To date, we are still so happy together. He makes me so happy and despite my cheating, I am a much better partner to him now. However, before the cheating, I never lied to my BF. We were always 100% honest with each other so the secret keeping and lying is nerve-wracking and is causing me deep emotional turmoil. I previously decided not to tell him, after getting mixed advice from close family and friends. But now I know it's unfair and selfish of me to withhold this much longer. He deserves an honestly and loyal partner. Sad face. While I know for sure I can be that, I want to let him decide. Even though it's going to break his heart, break mine while telling him, and there is a huge chance he will not take me back or love me the same. That won't be his problem though and I've accepted this. Considering he could give me a second chance, also made me think that he could very well regret it later and leave me anyway. And then our relationship not being the same. Him hating me is my biggest fear and it hurts so badly every time I think about this. I plan to wait until at least a month after his birthday in case he breaks up with me. This way I can still spoil him with gifts and he won't feel sour on his birthday. It's kind of far but necessary in my opinion. In short, I did an awful thing, by cheating and I would like any advice on just how to tell him. We don't live together but we live close, so I'm not doing it via phone obviously. I want him to know how sorry I am, that I love and respect him despite my behavior, and that I take him as serious as possible. This sucks because I want to marry him and I could have fucked our future together. Thanks for listening plus advice. The only person that wins here is you. All he gets is the surprise I cheated on you speech. I mean absolutely tell him, but only because cheating should not be rewarded and non-cheaters deserve the chance to decide what to do. Just remember he will never fully trust you again and even if you work it out something will have died in the relationship. A sourness will no doubt linger. Well, I feel sorry that Q treated you this way. But that doesn't absolve you of the choices that put you in this situation. Drinking and hanging out with guys alone usually isn't going to result in just friendship. You should tell your boyfriend so he can choose whether or not this is something he can live with. If you rob him of that choice it will have greater consequences. Honest question: how do you know you can be an honest and loyal partner? What are you going to do differently when the next Q comes around? 'Cause a Q is always around the corner. Answer these questions to yourself and then tell him, and also tell him how you have learnt from this situation. Otherwise it's just words. All the best. You've been lying to him ultimately. So you need to come clean before Q changes his mind and blackmails you again, or your guilt makes you reveal it in the worst way. You say that there's a low probability of him finding out? Are you willing for things to move forward between you and your boyfriend? Then this other guy decides to blab. You need to sit down with him and tell him the truth, in detail. Lies by omission are just as bad. Trust is a wonderful, beautiful and very special feeling second only to love. You can enjoy having someone's trust for years, even for eternity. You can lose all the trust you've been enjoying in a split second by making a poor choice. You will work for years and years to try and re-earn the trust you threw away, but that trust you regain will never be same as it was. Don't wait too long to tell him. If you tell him after too long, he'll start thinking just how long you planned on keeping it quiet. Unfortunately, there is no good time to do it. You just need to sit down and get it done. You say you will, but I feel maybe the fear of him hating you is stopping you from telling him sooner? You won't be his favorite person. I can't judge you for what you did, but I can tell you from the perspective of the one cheated on. The fact it took a while to be told certainly pushed any work of possibly forgiving her a bigger no. You did a bad thing, you know this, and are punishing yourself, but he's going to hurt a lot worse if you wait. Also, sorry you had to deal with that guy who stalked and abused. It's important to go to the police about the violence from Q. That will probably get you the closure you need, so you don't need to blow up your relationship by burdening your boyfriend about it. You were assaulted. You said he hit you, and threatened you, and blackmailed you. The first time you were under the influence of drugs, that's not even really consensual. I'm not familiar with ecstasy, but drugs being involved doesn't scream consensual to me. I'm honestly not sure you're a cheat. Everyone is treating you like you are, but if I read what you wrote properly, you're a victim of an obsessive, violent man. Who kinda groomed you, got you high, took advantage of you and then fucked you right up. If I'm understanding the words you wrote. What you so casually described is absolutely terrifying abuse. Don't tell your boyfriend you cheated on him, but do tell him what this man did to you though. Talking about trying for a baby. Not sure if I'm being unreasonable. So not sure where to start. I am a 31-year-old female, my partner is 37, we are engaged and both have stable teaching jobs. We are about to buy a house where we live, but I also own a house and lots of savings, important because just want to show I'm financially stable etc. and fully prepared for financial burden of a child. We are in a good place, however keep hitting a roadblock when it comes to children. We both want children and I want to start trying soon, i.e. in the next few months. We will probably buy a house and move in before Christmas. My partner continuously says he wants children but finds it too stressful to talk about. And often conversations end in arguments. What I argue is, I have PCOS and am worried about my fertility, I'd love to have a family and would like to start sooner rather than later. Not having a general plan of when makes me really nervous and anxious. I also am thinking of retraining as a lawyer. I've seen some online degrees I'd love to do when baby is born, and being older I'd like to do that sooner rather than later. I.e. next September while I'm at home. I find it quite stressful not having any plan at all, and feel quite shut down whenever I try and point out that I'm not that young, and nor is he. He says he definitely wants children but just wants to wait, gives no real wait time, and just seems to find it stressful when I bring it up. Now I of course understand that if he finds something stressful then he should not be forced to talk about it. I understand he has a choice about when to have kids. But it's my life as well. I really want children and am wary of time running out. If I were 20 I'd have no problem just seeing how things go, as he seems to want to. It's kind of hard to write down exactly what the issue is. But it feels like he doesn't want to commit to anything, but claims he wants kids. Not grasping that as someone with lots of issues with her womb, that waiting and waiting may mean no kids at all. I also would love to be able to have a general plan. Obviously plans can change, so I can make decisions about my career and work. Do I sound unreasonable? I'm trying to be kind and understanding towards his feelings and not wanting to rush him if he isn't ready. But on the other hand I want children. I'd feel devastated if I missed my window. And I'd feel frustrated if I say started my law training next year to have him turn around and say okay I want a baby now, because I wouldn't be able to, I'd have 4 years left of law school. So I'm a little frustrated and don't know how to resolve. It goes round and around. It would be reasonable to tell him you need to have the conversation soon and ask him when he thinks he will be prepared. Gently set a timeline and show you're respecting his boundaries. Talk about what you're excited about having kids. Good luck. Now I of course understand that if he finds something stressful then he should not be forced to talk about it. Hard disagree. Sometimes, if something is important enough, we need to put our big boy pants on and face up to stressful things. That's what being an adult means. And if he can't even talk about it, how the fuck will he cope with a living, breathing, complaining, independent, whiny, challenging, demanding child? The classic advice probably applies here: couples counseling. That will provide a safe space for him, under the guidance of someone who is used to facilitating discussions about hard topics. If he won't talk at all about this, I think you can assume his answer is no, and you need to proceed accordingly. Too long did not read. He doesn't want kids, but he lacks the courage to come out and say it, because he knows you'll leave him. Just with you mentioning you both being teachers, maybe try talk about it in a month during the summer holidays. He might be more open to discussing when he isn't stressed about work.